I'm really excited to present the module China and Global Prosperity. I've been working, engaging, and researching China for almost 40 years at this point, so since the beginning of the opening up of China. And this module, I've been teaching on China for many years, but this module is probably the most exciting module that I've ever taught, because it's a very interdisciplinary module and also a very transnational and transcultural module. I know that you come from a different background, so this is the reason why the module is so interdisciplinary. The idea is really to offer a module on China and on the engagement, in the engagement of China with the rest of the world through the lens of prosperity. And as you probably know, at the IGP, at the Institute for Global Prosperity, we are trying to redefine prosperity. So prosperity in China is a big word, and prosperity at the global level is a big word. So the module is really focusing on these three key words, if you want: China, global, that means global engagement of China, globalization, discourses of global power, and global geopolitical dynamics, and prosperity. The module is divided into two parts. The first 5 weeks, if you want, is more theoretical, conceptual, and we will really develop the analytical tools to study prosperity, to understand what prosperity means in China from a cultural point of view, from a philosophical point of view, from an historical point of view, and from a political, economic point of view. And then in the second part of the term, in the following 5 weeks, there is a week in between the first 5 weeks and the following 5 weeks. There is a reading week that is quite important. In the following 5 weeks, we delve more deeply with specific topics, such as topics that are relevant to China, but also relevant to the rest of the world. Topics such as urbanization, and we will study what urbanization means in China, also in relation to discourses of urbanization, planetary urbanization, construction of citizenship in China and in the world, and the role that prosperity thinking has in these processes. We have an urban group at the IGP, an urban research group, and then we have also an Asia group, and you are very welcome to engage with us in the discourses of urbanization in relation to prosperity. Then we also look at environment. One of the key questions of China's transformation, economic transformation, China's economy in transition in the last 40 years has been the effects that this transformation has had on the environment. So we look at this connection between ecology, ecological discourse, and economics, but we will also look at the autochthonous discourses of what is called Shentai Wenming in Chinese, ecological civilization in China, and what this discourse of ecological civilization can bring to ecological discourses of economics. Then we will look at the Belt and Road, the Belt and Road Initiative that has been on the on the news for many years, for the last decade, and we will look again at the Belt and Road specifically through the lens of prosperity, looking at China and Africa, China and Central Asia, China and Southeast Asia, and other countries through this lens of prosperity, through labor rights, for example, infrastructural projects and social value, and so on and so forth. And then we will also look in the second part of the module at what we call prosperity on the ground, which means how communities co-design prosperity or try to co-design prosperity, and how the transformation of, for example, street markets for purposes of urban regeneration, gentrification, has an effect on the livelihood and the well-being of the citizens. And then in the final week, we will basically, the final week is also quite important because we will see what we have studied and where do we go from here. I already mentioned the urban research group. I also mentioned the Asia Prosperity research group that I work with colleagues in these two different groups. And during the semester and during the whole academic year, we will have a lot of activities that will help you to better understand China and global prosperity, also in relation to what other colleagues work on, both on the urban research group in the Asia Prosperity Research Group. So again, I'm really excited because probably I've been teaching on China for, at this point of my life, I should say 30 years. But as I said, this module that actually derives from a conversation with Professor Henrietta Moore, the founding director of the IGP that we had a few years ago, is really the only module, actually, I would say at UCL, but also beyond UCL, that is really trying to engage with China and global prosperity and redefining prosperity and understanding the role that China plays. So it really goes beyond the Western conception of development, discourses of environmental sustainability, but also it tries to relate to these discourses within the context of China.